What's going on, and welcome to Joe's Geek Show, video series of We Talk Comics. And before we get started, if you'd like to support the channel, you can do so by liking this video, hitting that subscribe button, and sharing. And with that, we have the exit of Joshua Williamson and the entrance of Kevin Shinnick with his first story of The Flash, With This Ring. So, With This Ring covers The Flash issues 763 through 766 and primarily focuses around The Flash doing battle with Dr. Alchemy, but prior to that, really begins with Barry Allen on a date with Iris when he realizes that he's misplaced his Flash ring as he frantically searches before realizing that the Trickster has it. After spending a few minutes inside a simulation, Barry is able to retrieve his ring, convincing the Trickster to open it, which knocks him out. Upon returning to Iris, he tells her why the ring is so special. It's because it's not only coated with an element he created called lysanium, but it's also forged from his parents' wedding bands. And this small bit is just within the issue of 763, as the other three issues, as previously stated, focus on Dr. Alchemy as the villain attempts to transfer the powers of the Philosopher's Stone into himself so that he doesn't need the stone any longer. It's also over these next few issues that Barry gets his ass handed to him a few times, more so due to the reveal that Dr. Alchemy knows Barry's secret identity, having made a connection to all of the others who have possessed the Philosopher's Stone, one of which had looked into the future and seen Barry's identity as the Flash. And not only that, but it's also revealed that Barry Allen would be known as the greatest chemist in history. This is revealed to be the main motivation behind Dr. Alchemy's plan, as he wants the title for himself. Naturally, Barry outsmarts Dr. Alchemy in the end, encases him in stone, and locks him back up in Iron Heights until he can find a cure. And at the very end of this book, I'd say it's okay. There are some elements about the story that I actually do like, but it didn't exactly blow my socks off in the same way that Joshua Williamson's intro story with The Flash Rebirth did. For example, I thought Dr. Alchemy did pretty well as a villain in this book. He challenged Barry intellectually, he challenged Barry on a power level, and in that regard, I did think he was pretty cool. Especially that scene where he turned Barry's mask into mercury and burned Barry's face. So Barry had to like rip his mask off and kind of vibrate his face in order to make sure that, the police and stuff don't see his face, because, secret identities still important. And then Dr. Alchemy revealing basically at the end of the book that the whole multiple personality thing, like, yeah, he was tapping into these guys, but they were never truly in control of him. He is the one true Dr. Alchemy. And as far as Barry outsmarting him, yeah, I totally bought it. I thought it was a really cool idea that Barry was at first just so into the idea of wanting to prove that he's a better chemist than Dr. Alchemy that he was kind of walking into some of these traps. But then, in true superhero fashion, gets over himself at the last possible second and saves the day. Bad guy defeated, lessons are learned, claps and applause for everybody. But for every pro, I will say that there is to a con. Because when it came to the opening story, the first part where Barry was actually telling Iris the origin of the Flash ring and he had to go find it and the Trickster had it, this story was less than spectacular. There was something about the initial setup that I found to be a little unbelievable in terms of Barry just kind of walking into it. I mean, Barry knows the Trickster. He knows that the Trickster likes to have these plans and stuff like that, but follows him into the arcade anyway, where, oh, it was some kind of a trap. I mean, yes, it did serve the purpose of the story of getting the cameras behind Barry's eyes, but leading into it, I don't know, I didn't buy it. And one of the first parts of Trickster's plans was getting Barry to save what he thought was a woman falling into a dunk tank full of spikes, but it was a doll. And from the first page of the framing of it, I also could tell it was a doll prior to her falling. And if I could tell, I kind of feel like Barry should have been able to tell too. And then probably one of my biggest issues in this book primarily was more of a character issue, and that was with Iris. Okay, I'll say at the very end of the book where she helps Barry realize that, his journey to be Dr. Alchemy is a little ego-driven and maybe he should take a step back, was good. I like when she's used for these kinds of things and kind of keeps Barry, centered in like reality and morally grounded. But throughout the rest of the book, you know, there's all these just little moments where I'm just kind of like, what? Like when Barry's trying to decipher the language of like the Philosopher's Stone and, you know, kind of getting into his, you know, CSI detective work and stuff. And Iris makes the call that, hey, maybe Barry should just contact Batman because he's a detective. To which I say, Iris, you do know that is more or less what a CSI is. I mean, there have been times where even Batman has questioned if the Flash, aka Barry Allen, may even be a better detective than him. And then later on in the story, where Iris kind of helps Barry reach a breakthrough, and then it's like, okay, let's celebrate, and she kind of hints at a little bow chicka wow wow. But of course, Barry is a scientist, and he's like, okay, you know, killer maniac on the loose, this means let's get back to work. And she turns away, she's all disappointed, and just the way that it's drawn and framed, I mean, she just looks disappointed, she looks pissed, and I just couldn't tell if this was supposed to be a comedic scene or if this is supposed to be like a character moment for her where maybe this is gonna come back later because, you know, Barry works too much. The intention of the panel and the scene overall just wasn't really clear to me because the dialogue reads like it should be comedic, but the imagery suggests that it is serious. So I guess my big takeaway for this whole thing is it's average. It's great in some parts, it's not so great in other parts, and because of that, I'm going to give this first story arc, The Flash, With This Ring, a 6 out of 10. So when it comes to With This Ring and Kevin Shinnick's big introduction to The Flash, what did you think about this story? I would love to hear your thoughts of whether you liked it or you didn't. Please leave your comments in the comment section below. And if you like this video, I'd love it if you'd smash that like button, share it with some friends, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, and ring that notification bell for more comic book content. And if you're wondering what to watch next, consider one of these 2 videos. And don't forget to check out my other videos in this Flash Volume 5 playlist that you can check out right up here. All right, take care, have a great day, and as always, stay geeky.